I have a special guest. I have an incredible leader, somebody that has been through the thick and thin in this industry, 28 years to be, precise. And he has experienced a lot of challenges and adversities in this industry. And I thought with what's going on in the world right now, it's unprecedented. It's something that no one has ever experienced. And when you own your own business, we want to just to be able to bring all of you some reassurance, and some calmness of what's going on. Tonight, I have Elite Pro 8 Bob Wagner. Bob, how are you?
I'm doing great, buddy. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. How about the background?
You look like you're in Hawaii, man.
We're supposed to be in the Caribbean right now. So I thought it'd be appropriate. We wanted to kind of keep this brief and light and, have some fun. And you and I had a great conversation today. And that's what really, started this whole broadcast tonight. And we were talking about how you and April, you guys have experienced a ton of challenges. I mean, 28 years worth. I'm talking about 9/11. I'm talking about 2009. A lot of adversities. What I want you to do is just can you give us a few examples, of how you guys handled those adversities and those challenges?
Definitely. And, I think the thing that's most important, Gabe, is that we need to remain calm and cool and not get caught up in the panic of the media. And that doesn't mean you don't you don't tune into the news and get an update of what's going on. But, we've gone through, and then I'll answer your question, but, we started our career in October of 1992. And, back then, about a year after we were in the industry, the government was trying to shut down the nutritional industry and roll it in with pharmaceuticals. And if it weren't for Senator Orrin Hatch, I think he was senator, either congressman or senator, but of Utah, he was responsible for getting the Dietary Supplement and Health and Education Act passed, which separated us. Had that not happened, the entire nutritional supplement industry would have gone away. So that's adversity, right?
Oh my goodness. I remember that. I was in the health club business.
That was 1994. Then back in the late 90s, 2000 or so, I don't remember exact what year. It was either a year or two before 9/11 or a year or two after. A lot of companies' main product was a weight loss product that had ephedra in it. And, and the government went on this tangent to ban ephedra, and they did. Okay. And again, put a lot of companies out of business. Some companies retooled and reformulated and stuff. But then there was 9/11.
Yeah.
We're from New York. We were there when it happened. And, honestly, that was Armageddon. Okay. This is not Armageddon. Okay. But that was, at least for a while, it was, because there were 3,000 deaths in an instant. The airlines were shut down, the stock market crashed. Nobody knew what was going on, if it was World War III or what. And there's more and more and more I could talk about. Then we had 08, 09 with the economic crisis. Just when some of you guys either were just, you dealt with that in your other business, and a lot of folks, but that was when LifeVantage was born, was in that crisis. The direct selling part of LifeVantage was.
What a time to open up a business, right?
You would think a crazy time to do it, right? But, to get back to what you said now, what's different now, Gabe, is that there's hundreds of cable news channels, and social media is everywhere, and it's in everybody's pocket on their phone. So there's a lot of hysteria. And the greatest thing that a veteran like you and Jill and me and April and all the leaders in LifeVantage, the greatest thing we could do is be calm. and reassure people that this too shall pass. You know, this will come and this will go. And just like everything else out there that is come and gone. And, you know, we've been instilling that, you know, in people. You know, people look at leadership to see how they behave. And I'll tell you, when Darren Jensen gave his State of the Union talk last week, man, my confidence was already good, but it went through the roof after listening. Look how calm and cool and measured he was with, you know, with what he was talking about. And, you know, and the same thing yesterday with the elite call, you know, it was the same feeling.
And then folks, if you don't know what Bob is talking about with Darren Jensen and our CFO, Justin Rose, and one of our incredible leaders, Master Pro 10, Brandon Cunningham, you can go to the LifeVantage Facebook page and you can just watch that, what was it, 18, 19 minutes to help you to understand, you know, what LifeVantage is doing right now to be a way ahead of this curve, of this crisis, if you want to call it a crisis right now. It's unprecedented. I totally agree with that, but I don't believe it's a crisis from a business perspective. So it gives you a lot of reassurance.
Well, and what's happened, you know, we like you said, we talked for a little bit earlier this afternoon, and I looked, and even before we entered the industry, I can go back to Black Friday on 1987, when the stock market lost like 24% of its value in that one day. During that time, some of the biggest companies that are still with us blossomed and grew into multi-billion-dollar companies. And back then, NSA was one of them, which today is Juice Plus, okay? New Skin was just getting its feet wet, and obviously multi-billion-dollar company. Herbalife, Amway, all of these companies became giants right around that time and shortly after that. And then, you know, when we got involved in the industry, what we've noticed is, see, when an event like that happens, and I go back to 9/11 because that was very personal to us, you know, living there and having a dad that was a policeman and stuff, but that there was a new normal that happened after that. The old normal went away. And folks, for those listening, there's going to be a new normal, okay? But let's keep in mind what that new normal is going to be. People are going to want and going to be looking and pursuing jobs, businesses, and opportunities where they can work from home and be near family. Well, doesn't that kind of sound like LifeVantage? A little bit, you know? Absolutely. I mean, you know, they're going to be thinking more about their health and about what they can do to, you know, strengthen their health. And I'm not making no claims here, okay? But, you know, when you got products like we do, and a lot of the folks that we're all friends with, Gabe, and our leaders, you know, there aren't many people that I meet in LifeVantage that ever get sick. You know, it's amazing, you know, and I'm sure there are, but I'd love to know what the percentages are versus people that don't use, you know, supplements and stuff. I'll bet you there's a pretty good number there, but people are going to be looking for that opportunity. And that leads us to, you know, kind of what we were talking about this afternoon, which I think you were a little blown away.
Yeah. I mean, I know where you're going. I mean, I've been talking to people all day long. You had mentioned to me that your team is ahead of last month in enrollments and in volume. So just share with everybody what you and your team, you know, are doing. Are you doing anything different?
I think we are doing some things different, but I think what's most important, you got to always lead by example. And when people see that you're communicating with them, you're in touch, you're not panicked, you're calm, you're giving you know, good advice, you're available for Zooms, you're available for three-way calls, you're encouraging them to do business as usual in between washing their hands and going and buying toilet paper, you know, where you know, but that calmness and that fact that you're working and you're working through it and you've worked through it before, that's part of it. But here's what has been done different. We're reaching out more and touching more in a more personal way. And I don't mean physically, you know, I understand the social distancing and stuff, but we're picking up the phone and calling people. It's not just a text or an email, okay? Or it's a conversation on instant messenger where it's going back and forth. We're reaching out to people and sincerely asking how they are. It's not a solicitation call to say, hey, you want to double up on your Nerf too, okay? Or anything like that. It's like, hey, Gabe, you know, I know the schools are closed. I know you had kids in school. I know yours are bigger, Gabe, but I'm just giving an example, okay? You know, you have those 3 gyms that, you know, that you were managing. You got kids in school. They sent the kids home from school. How are you managing? Is everything okay? You know, and just a heartfelt, how are you doing? Phone call.
So basically a genuine interest in the well-being of the family and, you know, the business that they're in. And
what they're doing is they're asking in return, how are you? What's going on with you guys? How are your kids? And you get a chance, and you don't do this in a salesy way. You don't do this in a, you know, I told you so way or an in-your-face way. You just say, you know, it's times like these where you reiterate a little bit your why, on why you got involved in the business in the first place. And you say, I just feel very blessed and very thankful that we decided to pursue the career we did that allows us to be home and our income is not affected. And we get to continue doing things. And if they don't, you know, comment on that, you go right back to their kids and what they're doing and you drop it because the seed has been planted.
So I think the key, folks, and listen to me very carefully, and I hope that you pick this up like I just picked up what Bob said. You don't mention anything about, you know, our business not being affected with this crisis unless they ask. And then you do it in a very, very subtle way. So if you're talking to me on the phone, Bob, and I didn't say, well, how are you and your family doing? You wouldn't even bring it up, right? It would just be a genuine interest in the well-being of me and my family.
If they didn't ask me the question back, I'd just say, I'm glad to hear everything's fine. Let's stay in touch and make sure it stays that way until this thing is resolved.
Yeah, if you need anything, you know, we're here, you know, that's something like that. I love that. So, and I'm sure, because it blows my mind. I mean, you guys are such consummate professionals, that your business right now, considering, you know, all the chaos around us, is growing. So are you increasing the amount of messaging, you know, through Messenger? Are you increasing, you know, the 3-way phone calls, the webinars, you know, to stay, you know, to keep that social distancing within that spectrum?
Well, what the real opportunity here, Gabe, for everybody is there's still a lot of people that aren't comfortable with doing business online and using social media, even using Zoom, you know, or 3-way calls. And let's face it, whether it's 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6, 8, or 12, whatever it is, hey, if we're going to want to do business, that's the way we're going to have to do business. You know, we're confined now other than the food store or something like that. And so, yeah, we're doing more of all of it. And now we're doing Zooms on short notice. You know, and here's the other thing that we've done. We've taken the emphasis off of starting a business, so to speak, in regards to the packages. Like, no headhunting for platinum allowed, okay? If somebody insists on it, that's fine, but that's not what we're looking for. You know, where we've really turned the emphasis into a smaller package, whether it be a silver or occasional gold, because if you're reaching out personally, if you care, you can't be focused on the package that they're buying. You got to be focused on just being sincere about how you feel about the situation And we've been doing a lot of Zooms for one-on-ones, opportunities where we'll spend 20, 30 minutes on the Zoom together. We've been doing a lot of three-way calls. There's a lot of seeds planted. Our enrollments, we're up 25 enrollments.
That's awesome.
We're only halfway through and we're up 25 enroll. It's only 3,000 or 4,000 extra in volume, but it's still up, you know, from last month. And I got to tell you, you know, April and I like to think we play a role in it, but I mean, you know, Wilhelmina has put 8 on this month and 19 new people in the last 6 weeks.
That's awesome.
You know, Kim Mara out in California, she's got 5 new ones. Houston's got 5. Moshe's got 6. You know, there's some people really focusing in on reaching out and caring. And what happens is this, a lot of times a preferred customer ends up being a silver. It's like, what the heck, you might as well get the business part of it in there. You're buying the products anyway, you know, and that's what ends up happening a lot with what's going on.
Well, you've got 28 years experience. You've seen it all. You've gone through 9/11. You've gone through the 08, 09, and it lasts till 10 and 11, actually. Can you kind of elaborate on what separates this industry, the network marketing industry? You know, I've been told when I got started, and by the way, folks, you know, I started in 2009, and I was able to build my business through 2009, 2010, 2011. And listen to me, the company grew in those 4 years from 2009 to 2012 from 3 million in revenues to 214 million in revenues. So Bob, they say when the economy is up, our business network marketing is down. When the economy's down, our business is up. Can you kind of elaborate on that? Why is that? I mean, why do they?
You know, it's funny. I know that that's like the saying, you know, we found it a little bit different. Okay. It's much easier to get people started in this business when something like this happens. Okay. Because they're reflecting back on their life and looking at what they could have, should have, or might have done, that where the situation could be a little bit different. But even when times are good, what we found then is people that are more business minded, they kind of throw money at things, okay? And they'll get involved in the business and they'll use some of their resources for advertising and marketing and paying people to do kind of some of the labor stuff. So there's really not a good or a best or worst time to do it. We've saw benefits. 28 years is a big wingspan, you know, and we've seen it good on both ends of it. But the challenges always open up people's minds. Yeah. And we have an opportunity with what we own in LifeVantage, and in particular, you know, because this is a virus thing and it's a health related thing, not a possible World War III thing, you know, because of the product line that we have and the nature of what's going on. And people are going to really want to be more of a homebody and earn their money from their phone in their home. We are really uniquely positioned, but we can't be getting in people's faces. I told you this afternoon. You know, I've seen some disgusting posts, and you know, and unfortunately, a few of them will LifeVantage, but most of them are other companies. You know, and where people are in your face saying, "I told you so. You should have dug the well before you're thirsty. How does it feel to be thirsty?" I mean, dumb, really dumb stuff, you know, and, you know, that's not the way to do it. We need to be compassionate and caring and reach out, and don't bring it up unless they ask.
Yeah, just take the high road, folks. I hope all of you are listening. This is really good stuff to help solidify and continue for all of you to build your business, you know, when there's chaos all around. Oh my goodness, there's hysteria all around. People are hoarding toilet paper. I don't even know I go, why? What's going on? You know, China is not the only place in the world that toilet paper is manufactured, by the way. I mean, it's crazy, you know? So how about, you have any important takeaways, like maybe call to action that you can give our listeners tonight?
I think it would be really good for everybody to roll back the clock a little bit and start using the phone more, and not for texting and not for emailing or not using an app. I think it's a good time to reach out and touch somebody by phone. It's, let's face, that's the only way you truly get the temperature of where the other person is at, you know, if you're talking to them. And I think people are going to be looking for a calming, soothing presence. And if we will be calm and cool and soothing in our approach with the way we talk to people and the empathy and compassion and things that we show towards them, we will become a magnet, and they will be drawn to us, and they'll start asking how they can do what we do. I think that's probably the most important message.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of people right now that their minds are going to be a little bit more open because something's being taken away. I mean, my goodness, I was listening to the nightly news before I got on tonight, and you know, all these restaurants and bars, you know, are closing in all over the country. In Florida, they're just closing, you know, bars and party spots. You know, restaurants are, you know, are still open, but at 50% capacity. Think about payroll, think about businesses and how they're operating. A lot of people aren't working those hours. And I really feel for the people that literally have lost their jobs. I mean, I was watching New York. I was thinking about you, all those great pizza places that you took me in Long Island. And these guys have been around for decades and decades, and family, right? And 95% of the business is gone right now, you know? So there is.
And you mentioned Florida, you know, and the bars, and, you know, let's keep in mind, a lot of businesses rely on the money and revenue that comes in from spring break. And there is no spring break. Now, I know some of the kids are still going to the beach, but not the way they used to do it. And, you know, keep in mind, 40% commission available the very next week when people get involved in our business. So the immediate income component is here, folks, for people that want to make money right away. It's here.
And folks, listen to what Bob said. You have to be compassionate, right? You have to listen and understand what they're going through. And if they ask you, you know, how are you handling all of this? What are you doing? Just you know, be really careful on how you bring up our business. And yes, there's nothing wrong with saying, oh my goodness, we're so thankful about our business because, you know, we can operate our business on a phone. And with what's going on, it has today in the world, it hasn't affected us. Now, when Jill and I got started back in 2009, it was never that intent. It was literally to put food on the table and gasoline in the vehicles so we could go to work, you know? So it was a little bit different need there. But I think everybody's minds are open right now. They are willing to listen. So if you had contacted people before this coronavirus incident, you know, and kind of shut you down, maybe they might be, you know, willing to listen because whatever they're doing, their business has been affected with this. So there's a lot out there, folks. So there is a right way of handling it, and there is a wrong way of handling it. And hopefully all of you listen to Bob tonight, and, you know, when they open it for you by asking you, then just be very delicate and be compassionate on what we're doing. Any last nuggets before we say goodnight to everybody?
No, I think we just need to be open-minded in the weeks to come and realize that people are going to get more and more nervous with their personal situations, and the opportunities are going to be there, and just have a heart with the way you're doing things. Because we get to work from, you know, when everyone's being told to stay home, we get to work when we stay home. And we got a subscription business, and those auto ships just go out every 5 days. And, you know, everybody wants what we have. They just don't know it yet. And this is going to be a reminder why they need to have something like this.
And you're right. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And if everybody complies and everybody's prudent and do what, we're asked to do, this will pass by really, really fast. And then we can go back to being, as you said, the new normal after this, because you're right. It will be a new normal.
There will be a new normal. Yes.
Awesome. Well, listen, I had a great conversation with you this morning. Thank you so much for being on tonight. I thought the conversation warranted, this special golden nugget. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Jill and myself's Connect and Make an Impact, every Monday morning at 9 a.m. for about 15 minutes, it's a training nugget. Jill and I came back from one of our events. We just, kind of picked a nugget that we learned at that event, that piece of advice, and implemented it into our business. And it took us to the top of the company. So what we want to do is give back, to all of you. I'm hoping what Bob said tonight, you can take a slice of it and you can implement it into your business, knowing what to do, what not to do to build an incredible business when we have some adversities and some challenges going on.